Welcome to the Red Pill Podcast, powered by agencyx.net. Explore AI-driven creativity, groundbreaking innovations, and industry insights, all in one game-changing podcast. Enjoy.
You know, you're probably using AI entirely wrong.
Oh, almost definitely.
I mean, picture this. You're sitting there staring at your screen, and you're just typing, tweaking, basically sweating over a single prompt for like an hour.
Just desperately hitting generate over and over.
Yes. You're trying to force this machine to give you the exact pixel-perfect output you pictured in your head. And you just end up with absolute garbage.
Right, because you're treating this, chaotic, brilliantly creative engine like it's a pocket calculator.
Exactly. And today, we are fixing that. Welcome to our deep dive. I mean, what we're talking about is a highly relatable, just incredibly modern kind of exhaustion.
Oh, absolutely. It's this paradox where you have this massively powerful technology right at your fingertips, yet you feel like you're wrestling with it. Like rather than working with it, you're fighting it.
Yeah, and the more you try to clamp down and control it, the worse the results actually seem to get.
Which is so frustrating.
It really is. So that's the core of our deep dive today. We've got this fascinating article from the Agency X blog. It's by Webster X, and it's called The Generative AI Control Paradox.
Such a great piece.
It really is. And the premise of this deep dive is going to completely change how you interact with these tools. Because treating generative AI like a traditional predictable software program, it isn't just annoying for you, it's actually a massive waste of your time, your energy, and frankly, your project's budget.
Yeah, and what we're about to unpack here, it goes against almost everything traditional project management has ever taught us.
Wait, how so? Like, what's the traditional mindset here?
Well, I mean, we're all conditioned to define a rigid outcome, right? You control all the variables, you execute a linear step-by-step plan. But applying that legacy mindset to generative AI, it just fundamentally misunderstands what the technology actually is.
Okay, so let's break that down. Let's
Yeah.
talk about what AI fundamentally is, because I think we really need to get to the root of why this traditional approach just fails so spectacularly.
Let's do it.
There's a specific term in the source for the underlying nature of generative AI. And when I read this, it really changed how I visualize the whole process.
You're talking about stochasticity, right?
Yes, stochastic. That is the word.
Right. So the generative heart of AI is stochastic. It is not static. And, in plain terms, that basically means it relies on controlled randomness.
Controlled randomness, which sounds like an oxymoron, honestly.
It kind of does. But when you use generative AI, you aren't searching a database for an existing image. You aren't pulling a pre-written paragraph out of storage. The AI is relying on probabilistic models to navigate these vast, complex networks. They're called latent spaces.
Okay, we need to explain this latent space concept because it's so crucial to the whole paradox. I think a lot of people, myself included until recently, picture AI as this infinite hyper-organized filing cabinet.
Right, like you type dog, and the AI just opens the D drawer.
Exactly. It finds the dog folder, flips through, and pulls out a picture for you.
Yeah, but that would be a deterministic system. That's a one-to-one retrieval where, an input always yields the exact same output. But generative AI does not have a filing cabinet.
So what does it have instead?
It has a map. When you prompt it, it basically drops you into a specific coordinate in this massive multidimensional map of interconnected concepts. It's looking at millions of data points, textures, shapes, lighting, context, and it's calculating the probability of what should come next.
Right, so it's not grabbing an image, it's building it pixel by pixel based on math.
Exactly. If it places a brown pixel, it calculates the mathematical likelihood that the next pixel should be, say, part of a floppy ear. It's essentially guessing. It's making a highly educated guess based on staggering amounts of training data about what a concept should look or sound like in that specific neighborhood of the map.
That is wild. So it's an engine built on probability, not certainty. I mean, when you type 2 + 2 into a calculator, that's deterministic. You get 4 every single time.
Right, you're never going to get 5.
Never. But when you ask a stochastic AI to write a marketing hook, it calculates the probabilities of words combining in novel ways. And that unpredictability, it isn't a glitch in the system.
No, not at all.
It is the actual engine of the system.
And this right here is where all that friction happens. People are trying to operate a probabilistic engine using a deterministic steering wheel. The source actually uses this brilliant comparison for it.
Oh, the Win quote.
Yeah. It argues that demanding total control from stochastic AI is like demanding the wind blow in straight lines.
That quote was a massive light bulb moment for me. I mean, to put it another way, it's like trying to paint by numbers, but your brush is a high-pressure fire hose.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right, because you have this tool that is capable of massive, sweeping, entirely unpredictable output, and you're sitting there trying to force it to stay inside these tiny, rigid little lines. You weren't painting a masterpiece at that point. You were just making a mess.
Yeah. You really are, because the fire hose wasn't built for paint by numbers. When you try to use it that way, you're just actively working against the physics of the tool itself.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because I know exactly what you, the listener, might be thinking right now. Let's say you're prepping a massive ad campaign for a major client.
Okay, high stakes.
Very high stakes. You have strict brand guidelines. You've got specific corporate colors, a tightly defined target demographic. In that scenario, wouldn't you absolutely need to demand pixel-perfect predictability? Like, isn't relying on a probabilistic guess just inviting chaos into a professional workflow?
That is a very fair concern. And honestly, it's exactly why Web-Strix calls this a paradox. Because that chaos that you are trying to eliminate, that is the very thing that allows for surprising variations and novel combinations.
It's a happy accident.
Exactly. It is the birthplace of the happy accident. The attempt to force rigid predictability. The source describes this as taming the tiger.
Taming the tiger.
Right. When you strip away the randomness to guarantee corporate compliance, you strip away the AI's core value. You take this massive creative engine and you turn it into a very clunky, very frustrating, deterministic tool.
Which brings us to a huge realization about how this impacts the bottom line. Because if fighting the AI's natural instinct ruins its value, how is this actually manifesting in the real world of business?
It gets expensive fast.
Yeah, this isn't just some abstract philosophical debate about the nature of creativity. There's a very real, very expensive consequence that the article calls the budget black hole.
Oh, the budget black hole is so real. This is where the traditional business mindset just collides spectacularly with stochastic technology.
Yeah.
Because right now, the current industry mantra is to use AI for cheaper and faster ideation.
Right, like use it to rapidly prototype 50 different concepts in the time it used to take a human team to sketch out maybe 3.
Exactly. So you slash the initial concept budgets, the AI spits out ideas in seconds, and it feels like a massive win for the project timeline.
It looks great on a spreadsheet.
It does. The illusion of savings is incredibly seductive.
But it's an illusion.
It remains an illusion until the second half of that industry mantra kicks in, which is the intention to exert total control later to meet exact specification.
Okay, let's walk through a concrete scenario of how this trap actually springs. So you pitch those 50 AI-generated concepts to the client.
Right.
They look at them, they pick one, and they say, we love option 4. Now just take this exact image, but rotate the coffee cup 3 degrees to the left, make the steam look a little wispier, and change the model sweater to our exact corporate hex code blue.
And that is the exact moment the budget black hole just swallows your profit margin whole.
Yep.
Because the client is treating that AI-generated mock-up like a fully layered, editable design file. They assume you can just, click on the sweater layer and hit fill.
But it's not a layered file.
Not at all.
It's a flattened, probability-generated guess of an image. You can't just tweak one variable without the AI recalculating the entire latent space map around it.
Precisely. So the expectation of total control shifts this massive burden entirely to post-production. You end up in this agonizing cycle. You either spend hours manually repainting the AI's output in traditional software like Photoshop,
Which is tedious.
incredibly tedious, or you sit there endlessly regenerating prompts, desperately hoping the AI just randomly guesses the exact hex code blue while somehow magically maintaining the rest of the image.
So you're awake at 2 a.m., tweaking a prompt for the 100th time, trying to force a probabilistic output into a deterministic box.
It's a nightmare.
It is. And the kicker here is the ultimate cost. The effort and the budget required to wrestle this stochastic output into rigid perfection. It often far exceeds what you would have spent just doing it the traditional way from the very beginning.
It really does. You use AI to save money, and you end up spending way more because you're fighting the very nature of the tool itself.
The logic of less budgeting in production only to spend exponentially more in post-production repair, it's completely broken. Yet it's how most agencies and corporations are currently operating.
They're all falling into the black hole.
But wait, the tech industry obviously sees this happening, right? I mean, that's why we are flooded with all these new intricate control tools.
Ah, the control tools?
Yeah, we've got complex prompt engineering frameworks, we've got fine-tuning on tiny data sets, all these layers of corrective plugins. People are spending millions of dollars developing ways to give us that deterministic control.
Yeah, they are. But building and deploying all those intricate control tools, the sourcer argues it's a Sisyphean task.
Like pushing the boulder up the hill.
Exactly. You are endlessly pushing a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll right back down. And why? Because the tiger is the wilderness?
Wow. Meaning you can't separate the generative power from the unpredictability? They're literally the same thing.
They are the same thing. All the budget, all the engineering hours, all the mental energy consumed in this brute force struggle to build a better cage, it's pure waste. You are spending massive resources trying to make the technology do the one thing it wasn't designed to do.
So if brute force prompting and building these elaborate cages is just a futile waste of money, how should you actually interact with AI? Like if we have to stop being dictators to a machine that won't listen, what is the alternative workflow?
We have to shift from being dictators to becoming curators.
Curators, I like that.
The paradigm has to move from determinism to guided exploration.
Guided exploration. That completely changes the psychological approach. You aren't barking orders anymore, you are setting parameters for a journey.
That's beautifully put. Instead of demanding one perfect, highly specific result, the strategy is to use AI to generate broad ranges of possibilities. You still establish the guardrails, of course.
Right, you're not just saying do whatever.
No, you define the tone, the necessary elements, a general style. Basically, you build a courtyard. But once those walls are up, you must allow the stochastic engine to run freely inside it.
Okay, let's give the listener a really practical example of building that courtyard. Say you're a copywriter, and you're trying to come up with a tagline for a rugged, ultra-durable running shoe.
Okay, good scenario.
In the old dictator mindset, you might tell the AI, write a 10-word tagline about durability, using the exact words tough and road. You fence it in so tightly that it can barely move, and it spits out something like the tough shoe for the tough road ahead.
Which is perfectly compliant, it followed your rules,
Yeah.
but it is completely lifeless. It's a predictable output from a rigid input.
Exactly. But if you take an exploratory approach, you set broader guardrails. You say, we're selling a highly durable running shoe. The tone should be slightly rebellious and confident, generate 20 widely varied concepts. You just let it run through its latent space.
And maybe output number 14 says something strange. Something like, concrete is just a suggestion.
Yes, that is the magic moment. The text calls this the lucky punch. It didn't use your specific keywords. It's a bit abstract, but it captures the attitude and the product perfectly.
The lucky punch is when the AI delivers an unexpected output that is actually better or more innovative than your preconceived notion.
Which is exactly what you want.
Right. But if you're locked into a deterministic mindset, a lucky punch looks like an error because it didn't follow your exact instructions. So you filter it out, you delete it. But in an exploratory mindset, that serendipitous leap is the ultimate prize.
But to get that prize, you really have to measure success differently, don't you? Because in traditional project management, success is getting it right on the very first try. The perfect prompt yielding the perfect result.
Yeah, we need to adopt a completely new metric for this. You have to drop the myth of perfection in one prompt. Iteration is the new control. The realistic metric is satisfaction in X iterations.
Satisfaction in X iterations. So this means accepting that the process is inherently going to be generate, select, refine, and generate again.
Exactly. Refinement happens across a journey. Control doesn't manifest as typing a magical, flawless sentence on the first try. Control manifests in your judgment during the iterative process.
You're steering it.
Yes. You select the elements that work, you guide the AI away from the elements that don't, and you slowly narrow the focus. The AI becomes a co-creator and a partner in exploration during the conceptual phase, rather than just a post-production tool you're trying to beat into submission.
Man, that's a huge shift. But honestly, it makes me wonder, if my job is no longer to just type instructions and clean up the output, what exactly is my job?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because this shift from dictator to curator, it goes way beyond just saving a project budget. It touches on the actual survival of your career.
The reality regarding the job imperative is actually quite stark. There is a grave risk in clinging to the total control myth.
Think about the logical conclusion of the dictator mindset for a second. If your entire workflow consists of treating AI as a cheap, frustrating first draft machine, one that requires you to spend hours manually fixing its weird formatting errors, adjusting its shadows, and wrestling it into a rigid template, a business is going to notice that.
Oh, they definitely will. An executive will look at that inefficient workflow and realize the human element you is just acting as a highly paid spell checker and formatter.
Ouch.
Right. If the output needs that much manual fixing just to be acceptable, the logical business move is to cut out the expensive human middle layer entirely.
If your only value is trying to enforce rigid compliance on a stochastic tool, you are entirely replaceable.
Yeah.
They'll either automate the correction process, or they'll simply decide that the AI's raw, unedited output is, good enough for the price.
Exactly.
So how do you ensure you remain indispensable in this new landscape?
You ensure your indispensability by integrating AI into human-centric workflows that are explicitly designed for curation. You have to elevate the human role away from execution and toward high-level strategy.
Let the machine do what the machine does best, which is stochastic ideation, generating massive variations and accelerating that raw conceptual phase.
Yes, let the machine do that, while the human handles the creative direction. The human becomes the compass navigating the AI's generative flow. Because think about it, you can't write an algorithm for taste.
It really can.
You can't automate the lived human experience required to look at 20 variations and instantly know that concrete is just a suggestion, is the one that will resonate emotionally with a human audience.
That's so true. Identifying and leveraging those lucky punches requires a human mind. That strategic oversight, that curation, that is where your value lives now.
But moving from execution to curation, it requires letting go of your ego. You are no longer solely responsible for meticulously crafting every single pixel or every individual word.
Right.
Your responsibility is to design the environment that creates them and to possess the critical judgment to know which ones matter.
It really reframes the entire technological shift. Generative AI's true power lies in transcending linear thinking. It thrives on controlled randomness. Trying to shackle it with demands for total deterministic control from the very first prompt, it's basically the fastest way to guarantee creative stagnation.
It creates a massive budgetary black hole, and it turns a revolutionary creative partner into a frustrating chore.
We need to stop buying cages and start investing in better compasses. So for you listening right now, the next time you find yourself aggressively tweaking a prompt for the 40th time, hunched over your keyboard, trying to force the machine to bend to your exact rigid will, catch yourself.
Just stop typing.
Exactly. Step back, let the engine breathe. Generate a wide range of options and actively look for that lucky punch. You might just find something far better than the rigid idea you started with.
Embracing the chaos isn't a loss of control. It is the discovery of a much more powerful way to create.
It's the only sustainable way forward. But before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over on your own as you navigate your next project.
Right. If our future value in the workplace relies entirely on being the strategic curators of AI's happy accidents, how do we actually train our own human intuition to recognize the perfect lucky punch when it's hiding in a massive sea of digital noise?
That's the real challenge. Good luck with your next prompt, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Red Pill Podcast. If you enjoyed diving deep into the future of AI and media, make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Stay tuned. Bigger insights, bolder ideas, and game-changing discussions are coming your way. Sponsored by agencyx.net.